she fall off the cliff? Jack Armstrong will save her. And the remarkable thing is that you can talk...
Interesting clip. That's from the original Tonight Show. There's very little footage of that show, seriously.
Yeah, it is delightful. And I just feel as though that it's necessary to talk about the book, because I feel like
I think you've done a good job of that. It's titled Murder on the Glitter Box. It's a murder mystery, and it's doing very well, even without your help. How do you like that? So, morning, Bill. You have any balloons with you? I see a lot hung on your epitaph here, or whatever that is.
So what do you think happened, Steve? You see a man like myself who obviously was desperate when I was doing your shows and wanting to do something with really very little of an act, a crazy kind of an attitude.
Consequently, it was perfect for our show. For you young people, I did a show many years ago, speaking loosely, the sort David Letterman does now, and I would much rather have an eccentric as a guest, if I may so describe you, or somebody who did eccentricity in theatrical terms, than just talking to, you know, Tyrone Power or Winston Churchill or somebody like that.
Well, it doesn't really answer my question, Steve, because it's really it's on my mind constantly, and that is why is it, for God's sakes, that I can't make a living at this? And you know what I come down with is very simply is that I'm not that talented. I think there's flashes of brilliance, but I can't seem to get it together in terms of really settling down and joining the race that's going on within show business. I've taken myself outside of it.
Yours of the 14th received and content duly noted. Thank you again. It is not necessarily a serious handicap. Now, you said you don't have any talent. I think you do, but let's play with your hypothesis for a moment. Yeah. In all seriousness, it's not a terrible handicap, certainly in today's show business, to have no talent whatever. And again, I'm not talking about you. That's what you said. But well, some major stars,
for the Gong Show in a way,
even going back quite a few years in motion pictures, let's say, some major stars, I don't mean people who were in the business doing pretty well, I'm talking about major stars, had no talent whatever. And somehow they, by luck or hook or crook, or sleeping with a series of producers, or however they turn the trick.
Well, those are the tricks that I haven't played, you see. Now,
You've never slept with a producer. I'll tell you one thing right now. You don't get a lick of sleep all night long. There's tossing and turning and complaining and grousing and grumping. So you shouldn't sleep with a producer. Maybe a property man, because they work very quietly. They tiptoe around while the cameras are on. What am I talking about? Anyway, I'm not kidding about that. Many very successful people in show business have no talent. They obviously have something. I mean, you can't just get a guy off a bus and, you know, make him Clark Gable. But sometimes all they have is a marvelous face, a man or woman. A woman may have an incredibly beautiful body. And if she doesn't actually, you know, drop her false teeth while she's on camera, you can make a living with that. Is there some relevance to...
Very much so, and I appreciate that. It still doesn't seem to resolve it, but I don't think we can resolve anybody's problem. And you could care less because you're too involved with actually producing.
I couldn't care less if I may.
Well, excuse me for talking for you.
That's right.
But I spend so much time analyzing the faulthoods of myself and the lack of talents.
Faulthoods?
And have decided to...
You're talking about faultitude,
well,
if I may say so.
We are now, because you've started it going. But as far as the faultitudes combined with a fabulous incompleteness that I have,
yes.
It's the packaging of it. I can't seem to tighten it up and make the thing pay off. Am I serious or am I not? Well, I am.
If I were doing a cuckoo talk show of the type for which I am so easily elected, I would be happy to have you as a guest repeatedly. I'm sure it would work just as well today as it ever did.
You are one of the most marvelous show business bigwigs that I've come across.
And Gentiles.
Besides that, we hold a deep relationship to the white Anglo-Saxon Protestant conquering heroes.
I certainly do not, but that's all right.
I want to say that for a man who does do all that you produce, and you do need 9 or 10 hours sleep, I understand,
the volume
which
is impressive.
Unbelievable to me when I heard that, that you actually needed to sleep,
yes.
And quite a few hours, and you still managed to put yourself together in terms of...
My requirements are in excess of the norm. And I talked to Norm about that.
And that's the truth. It's you're born with it or you're not, Steve. Now, the cross I'm bearing, you must understand, is that my height does not reach yours physically, nor does it actually in terms of the talent. It's unfortunate. I started to try to play the clarinet, and I couldn't put the thing together when I was about 11 or 12. My father used to laugh when
You
the
wanted
reed,
to be in the
the
Benny
reed
Goodman
used to
story.
whistle, you know.
Yeah. Well, it's too late to be in the Benny Goodman story. I did that, but you could be in the... You could be in the...
Steve, you were marvelous in that.
That
You know, this man here is a fine actor, and had you chosen to go, I realized that after that. I didn't think so until and I said, by God, no, he put that
Is there
Benny
nothing the man
together
cannot
there.
do? No, as I say, it's too late to do that. You could do a movie about the clothing business, call it the Bergdorf Goodman story, which would probably fool a lot of
You
people.
get this sketch written, Steve, on your spare time with your charity for the people that don't have talent like myself, and I think you can put your name on it. We can, and it'll look good for me if you can finance it. And I'll make this thing come off if you can write the script.
It's far be it from me, and I have a tape measure to be very precise about that.
Yeah.
Hey, you're a great audience, Bill.
Well, I love you, man. Excuse me for
Two
hitting
men
that
loving
way.
each other. It's a TV first.
Oh boy, well it is an honor, and the book it was delightful. Your characters, I thought, who's as big as Steve, and then along came. I thought Tessa was getting stronger as you built into her.
She's a
as
funny
time went.
woman. A woman does comedy in the novel's plot. Many people think she's based on Joan Rivers or Phyllis Diller, and that's ridiculous because Joan Rivers and Phyllis Diller are very different women. They're both adorable, but they're
I
both
didn't
very
identify those two with it. I read that
thank you.
afterwards on there. No, I didn't, but it was a marvelous, well-constructed character. And Dane Winston came along later on this talk show. Is he the guy that's done the job?
Some people think that that's based on Jack Parr. No, sir.
No, I should say a beautifully written book. You can't figure out who did it.
Good. And if you ever find out, don't tell. Even though you finished the book, you still don't know.
No,
Blow us another balloon.
I'll do that, by golly.
Make us a nice pterodactyl. Pterodactyl from the sky, and the sky falls down. Sooby-doo-boo-doo-doo-doo. Sooby-doo-boo-boo.
Oh, I'll tell you, that's marvelous. I'll tell you, you pulled a lot of us youngsters who didn't know anything about nothing up through into the involvement of your career, Steve. And it happens. You have your people that you've looked up to. And who was it that you used to?
I've looked up to Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. I used to say, Wilt, how's your stilt? That's how I would look up to him. I also looked up to Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And those are about the only people